Today on Patch Notes, we're counting down 10 movie games that actually didn't suck. Let's get into it. Coming in at number 10, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. You would think a tie-in for the third prequel would be forgettable at best and broken at worst, but this game, it's really good. Developed by the Collective and published by LucasArts, it lets players step into the Jedi boots of Anakin and Obi-Wan through a full-blown cinematic action experience. It followed the movie's story, sure, but it also added some unique lightsaber mechanics, force powers, and a surprisingly solid combat system. And yes, it had multiplayer duels. You could finally settle playground arguments by force-yeeting your friend off a platform. Also, bonus points for the alternate ending where Anakin kills Obi-Wan, slays the Emperor, and declares himself as the new ruler of the galaxy. It was the what-if power fantasy we didn't know we needed. Coming in at number 9, we have Mad Max, released in 2015. It was released in the shadow of Fury Road. Mad Max, the game had zero expectations, and yet it quietly became one of the best open-world action titles of that time. Developed by Avalanche Studios, it threw you into a post-apocalyptic sandbox full of sandstorms, raider gangs, and vehicular mayhem. The melee combat was crunchy and pretty satisfying, and the driving felt genuinely dangerous, and the upgrade system for your car, the magnum opus, made every scrap you scavenged feel valuable. It wasn't groundbreaking and it didn't do anything particularly new, but it was dense with detail and dripping with atmosphere, like a Fallout game where everyone forgot about diplomacy. Despite solid reviews, it got buried by other big releases of the year, but those who played it, they remember and they respect. Coming in at number 8, we have Alien Isolation, released in 2014. Most Alien games turn the xenomorph into this bullet sponge, and it just doesn't make any sense at all. Alien Isolation went the opposite route. It made it terrifying again, like it should be. Set 15 years after the original film, you play as Amanda Ripley, daughter of Ellen Ripley, trying to uncover what happened to her mom. And you're not blasting through hordes of enemies here. You're hiding, sneaking, and praying the alien doesn't hear you breathing. The AI-driven alien is unpredictable and actively hunts you. It's not scripted really in most parts, and it kind of learns your behavior throughout the game. It adapts to what you do to try to catch you. It's the monster in the vents that knows you're hiding in locker number 3 and it's coming to say hi. It's a slow burn survival horror masterpiece that felt more like a lost Ridley Scott film than a game. No overpowered weapons, no cheesy action sequences, just tension, dread, and the overwhelming need not to die. Coming in at number 7 is one of my personal favorites on this list, The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, released in 2002. Before Gollum embarrassed everyone involved, EA actually made a few good Lord of the Rings games back in the day, and The Two Towers was one of the first. Combining footage from the film with hack-and-slash gameplay, it dropped you right into the cinematic battles of Middle-earth, Helm's Deep, the battle for Weathertop, the endless waves of orcs. You were there. As someone who loved Two Towers, it was really cool how they blended it all together with gameplay that was actually pretty good. The combat system, while simple, was satisfying. You could level up Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, unlock combos and chain attacks. And again, it was all pretty simple, but it was more than serviceable, especially for the time. And it looked good for a PS2 era title. This wasn't a phoned-in cash grab at all. This was a full-on adaptation that made you feel like part of the story, and everyone was there for it. Coming in at number 6, Lego Star Wars, the video game, released in 2005. This game should have been a joke. You have Lego, Star Wars, based on the prequels, and instead it became an absolute phenomenon. With drop-in, drop-out, couch co-op, charming visual humor, and unlockable everything, Lego Star Wars was the kind of game that appealed to everyone. Kids could mash buttons and adults could chase the 100% completion, and somewhere in between, you laughed at a mute Lego Obi-Wan dramatically reenacting Order 66 with bricks. It also had surprisingly deep progression. There's characters, ships, bonus missions, secret collectibles. This thing had content, especially for that time. It was the game that launched a Lego empire. Now there are Lego games for almost every major franchise, but this was the blueprint, and it still holds up today. Quick break. If you're enjoying this trip down memory lane, hit that like button and subscribe for more gaming list, breakdowns, and deep dives. Got a favorite movie game we haven't mentioned yet? Drop it in the comments. I'll read them all. Coming in at number 5, another one of my favorites on this list, X-Men Origins Wolverine, released in 2009. Based on one of the worst X-Men movies ever made, this game had every reason to suck, but it didn't. It was awesome. Instead of playing it safe, Raven Software cranked the violence dial to 11. Limbs flew, heads rolled. You could lunge across rooms and impale enemies on spikes, exactly how a Wolverine game should be. It was Wolverine Unleashed, a feral, regenerating engine of destruction. The healing mechanic was visual too. You'd see bullets and cuts disappear in real time as Logan's flesh regrew over his exposed bone. It was really cool. It was equal parts satisfying and equal parts gamey, all at the same time, but in the absolute best of ways. I remember being extremely surprised with this game. I thought far too many people didn't play it just because they probably expected it to be a typical movie game phone in, but it was really well done. It probably didn't help it that the movie sucked. Coming in at number 4, GoldenEye 007, released in 1997. We all knew this one was coming. GoldenEye wasn't just good for a movie game, it was genre defining for the time. It proved that first-person shooters could work on console, because up until that point, they absolutely 100% did not work. And more importantly, it gave us split-screen multiplayer that consumed entire weekends. Proximity mines, slappers only, odd job abuse, remote mines in the toilet stalls. Everyone has a GoldenEye story on how they played that game and their favorite maps. The campaign was great, but it was the multiplayer that made it absolutely legendary for the time. If you were around when this game came out, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's just consumed afternoons. It caused many of fights among friends, and it was really that first multiplayer, first-person shooter that many of us experienced. It was all done by a small team at Rare who basically winged it, and it was lightning in a cartridge. Also, it came out 2 years after the movie, and that should have doomed it. Instead, it became one of the most beloved games of the 90s. Coming in at number 3, we have the Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, released in 2004. Vin Diesel, in prison, in space, with stealth gameplay. Sounds like a fake game, right? Nope, wrong. Escape from Butcher Bay was one of the most polished and atmospheric FPS games of its era. It blended stealth, melee combat, gunplay, and light RPG mechanics into a gritty, claustrophobic journey. You weren't just sneaking through vents, you were manipulating guards, starting fights, staging breakouts, just trying to survive, and it all looked amazing for the time, running on Starbreeze's proprietary engine. It reviewed better than the film, and it's one of the rare cases where the game didn't just complement the movie or it was good, it surpassed it entirely. Coming in at number 2, we have Ghostbusters, the video game, released in 2009. This game wasn't just a tie-in, it was actually a sequel to the movies. It starred the original cast and it was set after Ghostbusters 2. It was the closest thing we got to a proper third film, until Afterlife that is. The proton pack gameplay was surprisingly complex, different beams for different ghosts. You had trap mechanics, environmental destruction, all wrapped in that classic Ghostbusters tone. It balanced nostalgia with actual gameplay depth. This wasn't a reskinned third-person shooter, it felt like a game made by people who loved this franchise. And let's be honest, it handled the legacy way better than any of the movies after 1989. Coming in at number 1, we have Spider-Man 2, released in 2004. This is it, the blueprint, the gold standard. Spider-Man 2 didn't just beat the odds, it redefined what licensed game could be for the time. Treyarch, yep, that's right, Treyarch took an amazing movie and used it as the foundation for an open-world superhero sim that felt like being Spider-Man. The web swinging was physics-based, meaning every movement was under your control for the most part. You could climb buildings, run up walls, dive off rooftops, and swing inches above traffic. And for the time, for 2004, it felt so good, despite how it looks looking back on it now. The side missions were repetitive, sure, but who cared? Just moving in this game was so much fun. It set the tone for every Spider-Man game after it, and honestly, it still holds up. When Insomniac released their own Spider-Man in 2018, the first thing people said was, "Oh, this feels like Spider-Man 2, but modern," and they meant that as a compliment. So there you have it, 10 movie games that actually didn't suck. Some were underrated gems, some were genre-defining, but all of them proved that licensed games don't have to be lazy cash grabs. Sometimes they can be passionate, clever, and even iconic. Let us know which ones you remember, or if there's a game we missed. And hey, game devs, more of this please, less Gollum. Thanks.